Welcome back to Torchlight Tales, the personal rant space of a simple Italian fan. Following the announcement of the Survivor 50 cast, given that I can get pretty nerdy and that imagining perfectly balanced game scenarios gives me some weird form of excitement, I ask myself, how should the tribes be structured to make them as balanced as possible? Before we continue, if you want to hear my possibly unpopular opinions on the Season 50 cast, know that I've already published a video about it, so go check it out. Now, let's get into the thick of it. Close this video now if you don't want spoilers for Survivor 49. So, as I was saying, to run these calculations, I made a few assumptions. One, that the rumor about the 49 returnees being Rizzo and Savannah is correct. 2. That the starting tribes for Survivor 50 will be 3. 3. That production has decided to balance the tribes with one winner per tribe, meaning one of the two, Rizzo or Savannah, must be the winner of Season 49. And 4. That the winner of 49 is Savannah. Now, I might be pushing the speculation a bit too far here, but Rizzo gives me big personality vibes instead of big strategic player vibes. Now, to achieve the best possible balance, I decided to assign labels to each player based on a set of traits. Their gender, whether they're a POC or not, whether they're an old school or new era player, their general archetype, and for this I divided them into chaotic, challenge beasts, strategists, and other, and whether they're a winner or not. And here's what came out of this breakdown. Of course, there's definitely some subjectivity bias on my end due to my personal perception of the players, but hey, this isn't a scientific study, so cut me some slack here. I assigned one winner to each tribe and built from there. Since there were so many intertwining constraints and achieving 100% precision in the divisions was impossible, I tried to keep the spread of each category as even as possible across tribes, though it wasn't always feasible, so I did what I could. The constraints I fully respected though are gender, diversity, and era. Unfortunately, I also had to abandon the idea of adding another rule that would force me to split up certain pairs of players that I felt could excessively influence the overall dynamics, like Kyle and Camilla, Angelina and Mike, or Q and Tiffany. So that will unfortunately not happen. I also had to make some judgment calls. I assigned Rizzo to chaotic, based on the impression I had of him from the Season 49 preview. I kept Ozzy as a challenge beast, even though we don't know if he's still in peak physical shape, like back in the day. Colby was placed in other, if he had already lost his challenge beast status 15 years ago in Heroes vs Villains, I doubt he's regained it now that he's 15 years older. And Devons and Chrissy were labeled as challenge beasts, even if they aren't the first names that come to mind for this category, but go rewatch their individual immunity track records. Alright, now that we got all of that out of the way, here are the results of this absolutely mind-bending puzzle. In the first tribe, in alphabetical order, we have Angelina, Aubrey, Christian, Colby, Dee, Ozzy, Q, and Tiffany. In the second tribe, we have Charlie, Coach, Emily, Jenna, Jonathan, Camilla, Kyle, and Mike. And in the third tribe, we have Chrissy, Siri, Devons, Genevieve, Joe, Rizzo, Savannah, and Stephanie. Now let's take a closer look at each individual tribe and analyze the potential scenarios that could develop. Again, this is a pure exercise of imagination and speculation, so it's just a little game. Actually, speaking of little games, I invite you to write your plausible scenarios based on these tribes in the comments before going on with the video. Then, check if me and you have had any similar thoughts. Alright, in the first tribe, I can definitely see the most old school OGs not keeping up with the pace of the game, so I expect Colby and Ozzy to be on the bottom almost from the start. While I would die for an Angelina Q duo, I imagine that Aubrey, Christian, and Dee could try to keep each other in as shields for each other. Aubrey and Christian will go in with a strategist label on their head, and Dee with a high threat level, being a previous winner. Another possible scenario is a Christian and Q duo, because I think that Q has that bro vibe that Christian proved he can work with. I do not think it's possible for Tiffany and Q to come together again, especially because Tiffany will be back with a big hunger for redemption, and associating with such a high variance player as Q would be more detrimental than beneficial to her game this time around. In general, I can't see Colby as a huge asset for anyone in this tribe, so for sure I would place him in an immediate danger tier. In the second tribe, Coach, Jenna, and Camilla, however improbable this trio might be, could come together, since I can see all three of them wanting to play a more dynamic game. Coach just to switch things up, and Jenna and Camilla because they hadn't had the opportunity to do that in their seasons before. Maybe throw Emily in there too. Jonathan and Kyle might bro out, similarly to what Kyle did with Joe in 48. I can also picture Charlie and Mike gravitating towards each other. Another possibility is a rerun of a Charlie and Maria duo with Jenna taking the Maria role, although less cutthroat and more high energy than her. I know it's weird to say, but ironically, I think Emily might be in a good position on a tribe like this, because she demonstrated that she can lay low when it's needed, and people like a Camilla or a Mike could be attracted to her if she plays as this wiser version of herself. Jonathan, I honestly don't know. I've never paid attention to him anyways. And lastly, if Kyle and Camilla end up in a tribe together, like in this scenario, I think they will immediately try to either make their duo explicit, which is less likely, or genuinely decide to not work together and let everyone know about it. I really can't imagine them pulling the same Secret Alliance trick again. They will want to get that out of the way as soon as possible, since 48 is still very fresh in everyone's mind. And finally, let's take a look at the third tribe. This is the hardest one to predict, given that there are two people that we haven't seen play yet. But one thing is for sure, most of the dynamics would revolve around Cirie. There are at least 3 people that I can imagine immediately run to Cirie to play on her side: Chrissy, Devons, and Genevieve. Stephanie has lost to Cirie multiple times, which could lead to her trying to lead the charge against Cirie, maybe backed by the 2 49 players who will feel the need to prove themselves. That would be super fun to watch. Joe is a huge unknown here. I am fairly positive he won't play the same straightforward game he played in 48, because after all, he went in on 48 as someone that wasn't super game savvy, a huge superfan, or a student of the game, so I think that during his first run, he might have learned a couple things that might have transformed him into a sneakier player. In that case, I can picture him trying to work with Genevieve as kind of a mentor for him, someone who was a strategist, but in a new era season. Alright, I think that's it for this video. Let me know if you liked this little experiment, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you did. Have a great one, bye!